Hey everyone, I've got an exciting review for you today. As promised, I am bringing you a review of the Treehopper Recon Sling. I got this in the mail from Mark a little over a week ago, all the way from Florida, and so I'm going to show you guys a little bit about it. As you can see, Mark ships these in a fantastic dump pouch that he includes for free, which is just mind-boggling because this saddle, as it is the cheapest way to get into saddle hunting. It's $150. It is made right here in America, and it comes with its very own dump pouch. This dump pouch is about the same size as every other one on the market. You can see it's made of a mesh that's pretty stiff. It does a good job of staying open. The top of it is a good, robust material. It's got really nice, thick pull cord on the top. I think that's paracord, a strong keeper. It hooks on the same way as the tethered cis hauler pouches, so it works really good with tight molly webbing setups. And that's just a nice feature. So 150 bucks. Mark's shipping is cheap. $8 all the way from Florida to Michigan. So if you're looking to get into saddle hunting, you don't want to spend a bunch of money, get this right here. It's a fantastic option. Let me take it out of the package and I'll show you guys a little bit about its features. As you can see as I take it out here, it is also very compact and lightweight. Right there, that's the whole saddle. Super compact. I don't know of a saddle that I've held in my hands that is that compact. If you're the kind of guy who likes to take your saddle and carry it in your pack and you just stuff it down in your pack somewhere, this is one of the ones to go with because it does not take up much room. On top of that, it is one of the lightest saddles on the market. The lightest saddle that I've ever personally owned, and I think the lightest one ever commercially produced, is the Mantis. It came in around 17 ounces. This is only 21 ounces. Now, I have the size small, which is going to weigh a little bit less than their regular, but still, it doesn't hurt, not even a pound and a half with the pouch, so that's a great option. A little bit about sizing. The small is made for guys with waists up to 34 inches, and then Mark has a regular that is for 34 to 44, and then he's got a large for guys above 44. So some good options. It is a 2-panel saddle. Let me get it laid out here and show you a little bit about it. We'll just kind of walk through its various features. So as you can see, there's the saddle, and it's got 2 panels. An upper panel and a lower panel. Both panels are made out of 2-inch webbing, same material that your seat belt is made out of, and they each have 2 vertical supports in them. Just a little quick note here before we go any further about the craftsmanship of this. I have heard that these are made by a manufacturer that sews parachutes, so an industrial sewing factory or producer of some sort. And I can tell you, this is probably the best stitching that I have ever seen on a saddle. I've owned a bunch of them, and they always come with frays or loose ends here or there. I do not see a fray or a loose end anywhere on this saddle. Let me just give you a close-up of the stitching. There's the box stitching. Look how clean that is. It's done super well. They've got their logo attached on there. Just a phenomenal build, guys. So you can see, here's the 2 panels. They are sewn together and they connect via some metal plates. We'll get there in a second. Before we do that, I want to show you guys the waist, kind of the molly webbing that goes around the waist here. You can see he's got a nice camo pattern there, and this is doubled up. It's reinforced all the way across, and it's a unique mix of loops. So he's got some of the really flat loops that are super great for that tethered style pouch, just like this one is, where you slide that metal plate down through there and then flip it up over top. Works really good. But then he's got some larger loops, and you can see that they're positioned well near the hip. He's got 2 on each end and then 2 in the middle for a total of 4 of those. and they're wide enough that you can put a carabiner through there. What I've been doing, because they're positioned so well right there near the point of the saddle, I'm taking a small Night Eyes gear tie and I'm twisting it through there, and then I'm hanging. I climb with 3 sticks and I hang 1 stick off of each hip in order to climb, and that's keeping them positioned well and right where I need them. So that's super well thought out. And then he's left just 3 openings between the second one. That leaves you just enough room to put your pouch right between there. So fits good. It's just kind of off your back hip, so not in the way of shooting. Really good positioning, super well thought out. The lineman loops are integrated into the saddle. Best I can tell, this camo strap comes up and feeds into this piece of tubular webbing, which provides it a little bit more structure and stability support so that it's not so floppy. And then it wraps around and it's stitched back in underneath there. So that's well done. They're integrated, seems to have plenty of strength. These lineman belt loops aren't as stiff and as open as some other ones that I have played around with. You can see there, once it gets flat, it kind of stays flat, but they will stay open and hold their shape. So a little bit about those. This saddle, if I flip it around to the inside, or what is the lower panel, you can see on the vertical supports there, we have the leg loops integrated, and they just run through the middle section that's not sewed shut on those vertical supports. They're nothing but webbing with a plastic end that you loop the tag end through. So not much to the leg straps. The nice thing about them is that they're completely modular. You can remove them by simply pulling it right out of there, and you don't have to alter the saddle at all to take the leg loops off. So me personally, I've hunted from this a number of times already, and I have not used the leg loops. I just don't see a purpose for them. They're not load bearing, and to be honest with you, I think they just kind of get in the way. So your mileage will vary. You got to do what you're comfortable with, but I'm taking them off and not using them. If we come around to where the saddles join up, this is one of the most unique features of this saddle, I think. The 2 panels are sewn together and they loop through and kind of connect via this metal plate. And this is Mark's own design. It's a metal plate that is rubber coated. So you're not going to get noise out of this thing. It's super, super quiet. And you can see that the 2 panels just connect through there. They loop through there and they're sewn together. So these plates are unique because not only is it where the 2 panels come together, but it's also where the bridge and the waist belt connect. This right here, this piece, is the waist belt. You can see the waist belt is a webbing, about a 1-inch webbing. It's reinforced here at the back, and then it has this plastic, tri-glide that it's attached to. And the way it works, it simply slides through the opening in that plate, and then that tri-glide catches, and you can see it will not pull through. Even if you orient it this way, it will not fit. It's just not wide enough. So that's how the waist belt attaches to the saddle. Super unique. One of the downsides I've noticed with this saddle is that the panels, because that piece, it's kind of grippy, and because there's so much going on through that opening, these don't move as smooth as like they do through the D-rings on the ESS. So, if you took the waist belt out or loosen it up, they move through a whole lot easier. So it provides a little bit of extra friction through there that doesn't allow the panels to adjust as easily when you're in the sitting on it. So that's something to keep in mind. Let me show you a little bit about the waist belt itself. This is Mark's own design, the one that it comes stock with. You can see it there. This he calls the speed buckle. The buckle is really nothing but 2 plates. And the front plate here has kind of a G-hook look to it. And then the back plate is just an open square. So the way this works, the belt gets threaded up on one side of that G-hook and then down around the front. And all you got to do to tighten it is pull it. And it tightens right up. To loosen it, you just feed it back. Put a little pressure on it and it loosens right back up. super, super easy. This speed buckle is a fantastic design. One pointer I'll give you, when you go to cinch it down, you want to make sure that you pull it straight across or even kind of around your body. You don't want to kind of pull away from it because it just won't go. So you want to pull it in line parallel to the belt loop that is around your waist. So it'll adjust super easy. It catches super easy. It doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't make any noise because of its design. I thought those two plates might have a tendency to do that, but under any tension, you can see they just lay on top of each other and they just don't go anywhere. So even when I've loosened it up while hunting at height, it does not flop around at all. Now, that being said, that buckle is Mark's design, and I think it's just cut from aluminum. Is it load bearing? Probably not. Is it tested by some third-party manufacturer? No, probably not. But this saddle's made of 6,000 pound webbing, and the bridge that we're going to talk about in a second here is tubular webbing that's rated for 4,000 pounds. So that's what carries your weight. It's not the waist belt. The waist belt just makes sure that the saddle is in the right position. So I'm not all that concerned about it being load bearing, but if you want a ton of safety, that's going to be up to you. Once again, you got to do what you feel comfortable with. So let me show you a little bit about the bridge as well. Like I mentioned, the bridge is tubular webbing, 4,000 pounds. The way it attaches, it just threads through these plates. So you can see it goes under the front of the plate and then around the back of it and then up and over a bar that sits in the middle. So it's adjustable. All you've got to do to change it is feed it up, give it a little bit of slack. Let's say I wanted to let it out. I would just feed it up from the bottom a little bit, and you walk it through. Pull it out, and then boom. And I've just let 1.5 inches out. It's not the fastest adjustment I've ever seen because you can't just grab it and pull it, but it's easy to do. You can do it while you're hunting. If you're the kind of guy who wants to cinch the saddle down super tight for the walk-in, this one's not going to do that. But to be honest with you, the waist belt gets it so tight that I haven't found a need to really do that. I just tuck the bridge in for the walk, and it seems to work out really, really well. So I like the bridge design. I think that Mark's plates here are super fantastic. Everything is streamlined, organized. I love that the leg straps are modular. I personally love this webbing 2-panel design. I put both panels underneath my butt. I'm going to show you that as we get outside here in a couple minutes, but I find them to be supremely comfortable. So we're going to change camera angles here. I'm going to put the saddle around my waist and just kind of walk you through how the waist belt works, how the leg straps work, how it fits, some things I've discovered about wearing it in, stuff like that, and then I'm going to show you how I use it in the tree. So let's check out the next view here. Hey guys, I've got the Recon here, and I wanted to just show you a little bit about putting it on and some of the features kind of while I've got it on before I put it in the tree for a more backed out view. So I've got the saddle here. Imagine as if I just stepped through it. Once again, I grab both panels just like the Eberhard saddle right behind those bridge attachment points, those metal plates. Grab it, you step into it, pull it up. Once you get it here, I like to kind of pull on one side, opposite the buckle, get a little tension on it so it stays in place. Grab that buckle, pull it across, and it cinches right down. You can see how easy that is. So just to give you an idea, that's how the saddle sits, how I would make it sit for the walk-in. It seems to work best putting it higher above your hips in order to prevent the panels from sagging down, at least for the walk-in. So you might take your bridge and tuck it in if you wanted to. The lineman's loops, you can see, they sit there right on the point of my hips. They don't tend to stay open. They can be collapsed a little bit. So that's a difference that you see. A lot of lineman loops are really stiff and supported well. These ones aren't so much. They're a little bit more flexible. So that's something to be aware of. Not that they don't stay open, but if they get flattened, they tend to stay flattened. So hopefully you can see a little bit better how these plates work. I have had some kind of squeaking issues from the bridge coming through there. This is a coated material. I'm not quite sure what it is, but it kind of squeaks on that rubber a little bit. Let me just see if I can make the noise for you. So I've had that issue a couple times in the tree. If I go to spin and put some weight on it, I've gotten a little squeaking. So that's just something to be aware of. I know some guys have taken this belt off completely and replaced it with other options, even just kind of stretch cord. So that's something you can work with, but then you don't have a waist belt. So, you know, keep in mind there is a little bit of noise from those plates. Once you cinch this belt down, one thing you'll notice on the back of this, it kind of bunches it up. They don't sit super flat. You know, see how that's kind of bumping out right there? That's because the way this waist belt works, it does not pull on either one of the panels exclusively. What it does is it essentially just takes these plates, let me show you that, it takes those plates and essentially just pulls them in, which consequently does put some pressure on the saddle, but you can see not as much as you would think. It doesn't take one of the panels and tighten it down like some other designs on the market. So one of the major complaints I have about this saddle is I have not found a good way to use it without it sagging down. You'll notice the top panel has the molly loops. So when you weight this with a pouch, and I put it here, that top panel immediately just sags down. You can see how easy that is. Put a little weight on it, and it's just wanting to pull down because there's no pressure on it from the waist belt. So it gets saggy, you know, it winds up pulling them both down. That's why I said cinch it above your hips, prevents the downward movement a little bit. But let me show you this. First walk into the woods, I had it lower, probably right there, and look how easy that whole thing, you put a little weight on there, you start walking around, and the whole thing just kind of walks itself low and starts sagging down. So that's something to be aware of. Well, you got to wear it high for the walk-in, or else you get it sagging under your butt. You got to wear it almost up in your mid section to keep it put. And then once you put a pouch on there, it does sag. I can't find a way to prevent it, but it won't sag and fall down. The only problem with this is if you're wearing a pack with a big waist belt, where's your waist belt sit? Right where I've got the saddle right now. So it's kind of a catch-22. Not a problem if you are the type of guy who carries your saddle in a pack. So that's just something to be aware of. Although that's probably the biggest complaint I have about it. And for me, that's a big one because I wear a frame pack with a waist belt, and so I haven't found a great way to just wear it into the woods. I do not like the sagging, and I like to wear my ropes right there on the side of me. So that's just something to be aware of. Let me think here if there's anything else I wanted to point out to you in this particular configuration before we put it on the tree. One thing I also wanted to mention were the leg straps. So the leg straps are on the back. Once you decide to put them on, you basically just kind of have to reach behind and grab one and hope you've got one tag end and one buckle because they sit so close together. Kind of do your best to feel, but you pull them around the front there and it just goes like any other buckle, up and down through. I missed it. Give it a little tension. Same thing with the other one. So, there. I've got the leg straps. Now, one of the things I've noticed about the leg straps, you can see here, once you put them on, it limits your ability to pull the saddle upwards. So you can't even get it up into that small area where I was talking about, preventing it from sliding down. So if you walk in with the leg straps, it limits how high you can take the saddle, which then consequently causes more sag. And you see how that's already underneath my butt. So that's a downfall. The other thing I've noticed is that you've got to run them like really, really loose to have any kind of flexibility around clothes at all when you're walking in. I mean, so much that like I've got like an inch of tag end on there. And so that's just something to keep in mind if you're a leg strap person. Once they get in the tree, they're not a major issue, but I'm not going to use them. That's just my take on them. I don't think they add a whole lot of benefit, and to me, they're just more trouble than they're worth. So I like the option, at least, to be able to remove them. A couple other things I'll point out to you on the tree, just kind of about its functionality and some cons and some drawbacks, but also some major positives. So let's take it outside and do the rest of the review in the tree. All right, I'm out at the tree with the Treehopper Recon. I'm going to show you guys a little bit about how I set up with it in the tree. I've got it on right here. Hopefully when I get in the tree, you guys will be able to see the sag that is caused by the side pouch here. I've got it up above my hips, the top of my iliac crest, kind of in that small of my back there, just as I explained to you guys, to prevent that from falling down. Now in this position, it won't work its way down behind my butt when I'm walking in, but you can still see it sags a little bit. So let me step onto the platform here. Hopefully you guys can see that. It just kind of pulls the strap down, and there's not really anything you can do about it. I've got it really pretty tight and cinched down. So let me just show you guys how I hook up. So I'll clip in just like you would any other saddle, and then loosen the waist belt, and I like to just take the two panels together as a unit and put them underneath my butt, put pressure on it as if I was leaning on it, and keep them as overlapped as possible. And then I like to pull it up so that I've got about three independent straps for the most part, so that the bottom strap of the top panel and the top strap of the bottom panel are pretty much overlaid, and that's about all there is to it. From that position, I'm ready to sit. This is pretty much how I like to sit, maybe 110, 120 degrees with my legs. I can shoot really easily from this position, and then if I want to lean, all I have to do is push up, and I'm leaning, and it's easy to sit. I would say I spend the majority of my time saddle hunting sitting with my knees against the tree. And what I like about these two panel webbing designs is that the thing sits pretty much underneath my butt. I've got a ton of flexibility on the top half of my body. My top half is free and can operate independently from the bottom. And as a sitter, I'm not overly concerned with back support. So I can sit like this for hours and hours and hours. I don't get any hip pinch in this saddle at all in the time that I've run it. No real adjustments. I just sit in it and I can stay comfortable. And it works, in my opinion, just as good for a guy who wants to sit as it does a guy who wants to lean. Some saddles are more built for sitters and some are more built for leaners. I think this two-panel design works just as good for a sitter and a leaner. I've got a ton of support, no hot spots or pressure in an uncomfortable manner underneath my butt where I've got both of these panels. So you can see that bridge works really smoothly through the carabiner, doesn't snag or hang up at all. You do get a little bit of that squeaking like I showed you inside, but one thing I've liked to do when I've gotten into the tree is just to kind of push these out a little bit on each side. That way they're not causing the extra friction on these straps, and these other straps can move. But you can see as I try to move and pivot around,
the panels just don't really shift through that metal plate at all. On the Eberhard one, you can get a little bit of slide easily through that anodized D-ring, but on these, that rubber coating, when it's weighted, just seems to grab it, and it will not move on you easily. Now, if I wanted to grab it and reposition it, let's say I wanted to move it higher up on my body, I can do that, and I get a little more back support. In this case, I'd probably bring the bottom one a little bit lower. That's comfortable. If you're a leaner, that may be a good position. You can bring it up into the small of your back, and you can see there, I get a little bit of movement through those, but not much, and it's pretty comfortable. So a lot of flexibility here, guys. I think these work well. The one downside that I've noticed to this saddle in the tree is that the panels can be a little bit hard to manipulate because they don't move super easily through those plates. It's kind of hard to tell when they're, you know, overlapping each other, and they'll get a little hung up on one another, but you can see you just take weight off of it like I did, and they're easy enough to get back into position. But as I was saying, the only downside I've noticed, and it may be alleviated if I went to the size regular, I'm about a 32, maybe a 33-inch waist, but I typically wear 2 layers of hunting pants plus kind of you know, your base layer type thing. And with this saddle, both plates are pretty close to my body, and because of the design, they kind of angle inward as opposed to outward, and I've noticed a little bit of bunching, and I've kind of gotten just minor pressure from where those kind of will bunch around my clothes right here at my body. Like I said, if I went to the larger size, something that was more comparable to the Eberhard signature saddle, these would probably sit a little further out here, and I don't think I'd have that issue at all. So that's just a minor complaint that I have about it. Other than that, I'm really pleased with the comfort of the saddle in the tree. You know, I've done a few morning hunts with it so far, and like I said, I just don't find the need to adjust. It's very comfortable, easy to use. If I was going to climb down the tree, I would do the same thing I would do in the Eberhard saddle. I would kind of lean, maybe grab the tree, overlap those as best I can, and pull it up into the small of my back, tighten it down, lean forward, tighten it down, and I'm ready to go. I could hook my lineman belt around the tree. It's right there where it started, and it's going to stay put for the walk out. So hope this review and overview of the Treehopper Recon Sling is helpful to you guys. For 150 bucks, I don't think there's a better saddle on the market. You will be pleased with the comfort of it. You'll be pleased with the flexibility of it. You'll be pleased with the packability of it. It's a fantastic American-made option at a great price. So hope you guys have enjoyed this review. The next video, I'm going to bring you a review in comparison of this side by side with the Eberhard signature saddle. And then I've got a Latitude Method that I'm throwing some hunts at right now, and I'm going to do a review of that, and then do a comparison video of all 3 two-panel saddles on the market. So please consider subscribing to your channel. That really helps us out a lot, and we're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. So it'd be a big help if you guys would click the subscribe and the like buttons below. Otherwise, stay tuned for our next video, and I hope you guys have a good rut here over the next couple of weeks. Thanks for tuning in.